My name is Michael from Adrim Software, and today I'm going to be showing you the newest release of NetCrunch version 9.3. NetCrunch is an all-in-one and agentless network, server, application, file, log, and web monitoring suite, and everything is built into one package. We run on Windows Server 2008 R2 or better, that's the server, and we also have desktop, web, and mobile consoles. What I'm showing you today is the desktop console running on Windows 10. We are Cisco, VMware, and Microsoft partners, and we are also the only mainstream monitoring solution that is certified Cisco compatible as well. Setup takes only a few minutes, and we do support hundreds of devices and applications out of the box. When you first get NetCrunch installed, what it's actually going to do, it's going to scan your network and identify your devices and then apply what we call device types to them. So everything that's a Cisco switch is going to be identified as a Cisco switch, Windows Server, and so on and so forth. Once we actually do identify what your devices are, we apply what we call monitoring packs to them. And these are just policy-based sets of rules and alerts based on your device types. So I'll show you here. The Windows Server, for example. This is our default Windows Server monitoring pack. And we have these various thresholds set as per Microsoft's recommendations. And all the devices that we do identify as a Windows Server are going to have this monitoring pack applied to them. Of course, later you can go in here and you can adjust the thresholds however you want to. Maybe static thresholds aren't important to you. We do offer a baseline thresholding feature, so instead of letting you know that disk free space is less than 10%, we can let you know that disk free space is 20% lower than the average of the last 2 weeks or something like that. If you do make changes to the monitoring pack here, it will be applied to all of the devices that share this monitoring pack. So in this case, we are looking at 144 Windows Server machines that we have. So if I adjust anything there, it would be applied to all the other Windows servers as well. Of course, you can make custom monitoring packs based on any kind of criterias. You can individually or by group make changes as well. But this gives you a powerful way to make large changes quickly and efficiently. Once we do identify that something has happened or you want to be alerted, that's when our alert escalation scripts come in. So out of the box, we have a default notification script. And what this default notification script is simply going to show you a window that shows up and pops up here at the bottom right. The purpose of having this out of the box is so you don't get flooded with emails or alerts or whatever it might be. But of course, later you're going to create your own monitoring scripts based on the various conditions and the various severities of your alerts and how you want to be alerted about them. We can have something run immediately, or we can have something run after certain conditions are met. So for example, let me know if something is still happening after 5 minutes, or let me know if 2 things happen at the same time. But for the purposes of this, I'll just show you the different kinds of things that we can do. So of course, there's some basic stuff. Play a desktop notification window, that's going to be at the bottom right here. Play a sound, notify user or group. So if you do have a larger network or you have multiple administrators in charge, you can notify them when problems happen in their part of the network that they're responsible for, but not notify the other ones who have different responsibilities. We can, of course, send you an email, and these emails are customizable. You can send links, you can send any kind of information that you want there, and we can also send you SMSs via GSM modem. So this is useful, for example, if your internet goes down or your power supply goes down and you're on a backup power supply, notify you via the SMS via a plugged-in GSM modem. The more important stuff and the more really useful stuff here are control functions. So when something does happen, we can run a program, we can run a script, we can restart a service, we can reboot a machine. And there's actually 2 examples that I like to give here. So for one of our clients, we are monitoring his servers, and when disk space falls below 10%, we actually run a script to delete the temp files. 5 minutes later, if running the script and deleting the temp files has brought disk space over 10%, then he's not going to be notified. Of course, it's being written to the log and all of this, but you're simply not wasting his time by sending an email or SMS. Another example we could do, let's say you're running a CRM service on one of your machines. If that service goes down, we can restart it after 5 minutes. 5 minutes later, if the service is still down, we can reboot that machine. And 5 minutes later, if that hasn't solved the problem, then we can notify the administrator who's in charge. And on top of that, 1 hour later, if it's still down, then we can actually notify his superior or escalate it even higher. Now, I'm going to be showing you our main window here, and this is the main Atlas dashboard. And the purpose of the Atlas dashboard is to give you a live look at the health and status of your network as it exists. This view and all of the views that we're going to be showing in NetCrunch are dynamic and they're being updated in real time. So whatever it is that you are looking at is going to be a live look at the health of your network as it exists. This is adjustable however you want to for your own screen resolutions. And on top of that, everything you see here is going to be clickable, so you can go and find more information about whatever it is. And you can see here at the bottom right, we do have a desktop notification window that just popped up. In NetCrunch, we use color-coded system to let you know the status of your devices. Red is going to mean that it's down. This means we have no connection with it whatsoever. Warning means we do have a connection with it, but there's some kind of alert on board. So maybe disk space is low, processor utilization is too high, so on and so forth. Green, of course, is everything is okay, and this is the way we want it. And we do have a feature adding an inactive state as well. So these are devices that have never been connected to before. They've been added to the Atlas, but we simply haven't had an initial connection with them. So probably scanning AD devices, for example, and this machine's simply never been connected. Once we do get an initial connection with it, then we start monitoring it normally. But until then, we're not going to be flashing at you that this node is down, because it's probably not. Moving over to the right, you'll be able to see how much we're actually monitoring. When it comes to NetCrunch, we license by number of monitored nodes, and we don't limit you on performance counters or sensors or elements or anything like that. One device is one node, and as you can see here, we have 324 network nodes being monitored, which is approximately 10,000 performance counters. We call them performance counters, other people might call them sensors, other people might call them elements, whatever it might be. But this is just informational for you, and you don't actually have any limitations here. So 148 port switch is one node, monitor everything that you want on it. We actually are able to offer this kind of node-based licensing because of the extreme scalability of NetCrunch. A single NetCrunch server, as we're saying here, can support over 1 million monitored counters as of NetCrunch 9.3. And that's actually a great deal. Compared to the competition, it's going to be in the low thousands to the low tens of thousands. The server that I am running is actually running on a VM, and you can run any kind of NetCrunch server on a VM without any performance degradation. So whether you do run it on a physical machine or a virtual machine, you're not going to see any cut in performance. Now, I will point out a couple new things that we have in NetCrunch 9.3. And really, I think the most important one and the most powerful one are integration profiles. So as of 9.3, we actually have 19 different two-way integrations with service desks and messaging systems. So if you are using PagerDuty for ticketing or FreshDesk, MSPs often use ConnectWise. You can send messages to Trello. You can even create Twitter messages or send it to Slack. Whenever an alert happens in NetCrunch, you can actually have it create a ticket or generate a message, and it's two-way integration. So in PagerDuty, when you do close that event, it will also close it in NetCrunch as well. And when it does come to these events, as you can see here in our main dashboard atlas, we do have an event log. And what this is showing you a breakdown of all the events that happened in the last hour, broken down by the hour. And if we click on any of these, we'll be able to see more about what happened. So in this case, we can see between 3 and 4 p.m. Now, as you can see, I'm getting some login failures or whatever it might be. We do have some open alerts here. That's this one. The service is down, and we do have some nodes closed by correlation as well. So NetCrunch does close alerts automatically by correlation. In this case, this machine, SNMP went down. It lasted for 10 minutes, but it has since come back up. So whether an admin fixed it or it simply resolved itself, we were able to identify that it's been closed, and it's not going to be flashing at you as something that needs your attention. By being able to close alerts by correlation, we're actually able to create a pending alerts view for you. And the pending alerts view is going to show you all the events that are currently happening on your network that need your attention. And this is actually a very powerful feature because instead of having to sift through, as you can see right there, ping was down and now it's coming back up. So this machine is back online. But by having this kind of view, how nice is this? Having this kind of view means you're able to see the problems that are currently happening instead of having to sift through a list of all the events that happened and having to determine which one is still ongoing and which one is not. We also do have a summary view here, which will show you a summary of all the events that have happened, and you can break them down by last 24 hours, week, last week, or month. And you can see here, if I wanted to look at all the Cisco things, I'd click here. If I wanted to look at statuses of NetCrunch, I'd look here. Now, going back, I'm going to be going across the right here. These are actually our new views that have been updated, and the GUI has been made much more easier and much more intuitive. So this view, as well as the top charts view that I'm going to be showing you in just a minute, is available on custom views as well. So what we are looking at, of course, is our global atlas, all 324 nodes in the network. But we also have custom views that are created for you automatically or based on whatever criteria that you like. So if you select Windows Server, you'll be able to see a similar view, but it's only going to include those devices that are part of that view, in this case Windows Server. Going back up, I'll move over to the right, and this is our top charts view. Out of the box, we do have 9, I think it is, top charts set for you automatically, and you can create top charts based on any kind of performance counters that you'd like. This is, of course, adjustable however you'd like to, and in this case, let's say we want 5 elements per chart, and it'll squeeze it down there as well. It's adjustable and movable however you'd like to. We have a full screen view, and we have an auto zoom mode as well. And the auto zoom mode, well, will simply make it look as good as possible on your own screen's resolution. Like I said a little earlier, everything is updated live and in real time. In this case, we're showing recent values. That means the most recently pulled value. And if something does flash blue, that means that we recently got new information. But you can also look at a last hour and a last 24-hour average as well. Highlighting over any of these, you can go into the node settings, or you can show the counter history. This view, like all the other views, are also optimized for multi-screen knock room settings. So everything is actually dockable. You go into Windows and you enable docking, you'll be able to pull various windows out and throw them onto different screens. Well, that's not something I can show you on this single screen presentation. I can just open, for example, a new Atlas window, and it'll be the same thing that we just saw, but in its own window, and you could throw this onto any other screens that are attached. This, like the main views, are also going to be updated dynamically, real time, so it's nice if you do have multiple screens. If you do not have multiple screens, we actually also have a screen rotating feature where you can pick 3 or 4 of the main screens that you do want to take a look at and have them rotate every 30 seconds or whatever it might be. So if you do have an outward-facing screen, maybe looking over development or anything like that, your employees will be able to take up and take a quick look at the status of the network and see what's going on. Now, I did mention that we are Cisco partners, and we are also the only certified Cisco-compatible monitoring solution that is mainstream. So that means we do have full support for NetFlow IPFix, and we also support Cisco NBAR. So if your devices do support NBAR, you'll be able to get application definitions as well. If you don't have a Cisco NBAR, we actually have our own built-in application database as well, with hundreds of different applications, and of course you can create your own based on the port that the application is using. We do also support SFlow, which includes all protocols that are based off of SFlow. So in the case of Juniper, that's going to be JFlow. Unfortunately, here I don't have one to show you as an example because this is our backup development and testing lab. And as you can actually see, there's actually very little data going on over here. But you can see the application types that are topping. We can see the ports that are, and we also see the top talkers. And these top talkers are obviously the ones doing the most communication. You can view this in bytes, packets, or flows, however you'd like to, and you can also click on any of these bars to get more information or go directly into our Flow Analytics window. And the Flow Analytics window, again, it's going to show you some more granular information about what's going on, who's talking to who, so on and so forth. So you can see the application groups, the applications, the protocols being used, so on and so forth. The settings view that we have here is a little bit of a misnomer. It is partially settings, but it's also a way to learn more about NetCrunch itself. So here you can take a look at settings and get things done, but if you want to learn more about managing user access and profiles, or if we go down, we'll be able to see setting up layer 2 segments, how to set up your flow collector, monitoring credentials, these kinds of things. Clicking on anything here is either going to open up a wizard or give you more information to accomplish whatever it is that you'd like to do. So if you are having some questions, this is obviously the first place that you want to go to. Now, the server status view shows you the health of the server on which NetCrunch itself is running. For example, if I haven't had backups written in a timely fashion or writing to the database is slow, that's something that would show up here. Like I said, we run on Windows Server 2008 R2, which can be on a VM. And for most installations, all we need is 4 gigabytes of RAM and 4 cores. However, if you did need more RAM or more cores to be applied, this is where you'd be able to find out. Now, I'm going to skip this for just a moment, and we're going to go into our monitoring dependencies. So our monitoring dependencies branch out from the NetCrunch server itself, and we create these for you automatically. And the purpose of monitoring dependencies is to prevent alert floods. For example, if this switch were to go down, you don't want to get emails or SMSs that all the devices below it went down as well. It's going to be sufficient that you get the one critical alert that this one critical device is down. Of course, you can adjust the dependencies however you'd like to, and you can, of course, turn them off if you do want to get that flood of emails. In a similar view, we have our physical segments map. And the physical segments map is going to show you the physical connections between your devices. So that's that same core switch that I showed you a little bit earlier. and the lines actually represent the physical connections. As you can see, there are different thicknesses and there are different colors here as well. What the thicknesses and colors actually represent is live traffic. So we're currently showing live traffic, and we can see that this one is taking up all of it, and everyone else is being fairly quiet. You do have the option to look at a last hour and a last 24-hour summary as well. And if you click on any of these, we can take a look at the current traffic and status, or we can look at a traffic history. And we've just had an update. So let's see what that is. And this opens up our NetCrunch trend viewer. And the trend viewer is going to show you the up and down interfaces here. But you can also add any kind of trend to this viewer as well to see if you can find out maybe why this is happening and why there are spikes. All these views are drillable. You can go all the way down to the endpoint, and this is a good way to find out where your bandwidth hogs are. Now, one more thing I'll show you from this switch. We do have a port mapping feature, and the port mapping feature is actually going to show you what's connected to every single port, as well as what's connected on down the line as well. Now, not all of these are added, but that's for security reasons, but you'd be able to see not only what device is connected to a specific port, but you would also be able to see what's connected further on down the line as well. For example here. So these 4 devices. And whether this is a population or security thing, depending on your settings, you'll be able to see what these specific devices are as well. Moving on down, like I said earlier, we do have our own custom views. Yellow ones, for example, are going to show you devices that have a problem, whereas red is going to show you devices that we have no connection with whatsoever. So we can do an overview look like this as well. We can do the top charts view, and we have the map view as well. We also have custom mapping features, and you can make custom maps based on any kind of criteria that you would like to. We do have Windows performance views as well, or just performance views. We have multiple ways that we can actually show you performance. So as you can see here, we do have gauges, we do have line graphs, we do have bar graphs. Different kinds of data are obviously better represented in different ways. Going back up. We're going to start back up at our main global atlas, and I'll start moving over here. So you can take a look at all the nodes that are in our global atlas. These are all the devices that we are currently monitoring and some basic information about them as well. You can see we're running monitoring checks every 5 minutes, but you can adjust that however you'd like to. It's simply our default recommended one. In most cases, 5 minutes is going to suffice, but for your critical devices, we also recommend maybe 1 minute. Here you'll see the services that are being monitored, the monitoring engines, so on and so forth. And we also break this down. So these are all your Windows devices, for example. And for all your Windows devices, we actually offer an inventory function as well. So here you'll be able to see what's on board all of your Windows machines. This view might be a little limited, but what you can actually do is right-click and go into the inventory view and get a comprehensive interview look. The hardware that's on board, the operating system that's running, and even the hotfixes. And the hotfixes that have been installed, you can actually right-click on any of them, view details, and it's going to open up the Microsoft page for that specific hotfix. While I'm here, I'll actually, because I see I have this open as well, with NetCrunch we actually include GraphCrunch, which is our own fork of the popular open source dashboarding utility Grafana. And with GraphCrunch, especially after 9.3, you're actually able to use it to show not only data from different sources, but from multiple NetCrunch servers as well. So if you are running multiple NetCrunch servers, you can use GraphCrunch as a way to visualize all of them instead of just a single one. This is included free of charge, and we are currently working on getting on board with the main Grafana line as well. Going back up, you can see we have a breakdown for Linux, Mac OS X, so on and so forth. And we have a new search feature as well. So if you do search for anything here, you'll be able to not only find our database, but you'll also be able to search via, here we go, by our nodes, by views. Our blogs are actually searchable here as well. So all the information that you would ever need to find about NetCrunch can be found here. And we'll just scroll down a little bit. And that's going to be the end of my little presentation here. So thanks for watching. I do recommend that you guys install NetCrunch. You can get us at www.adramsoft.com. When you do download NetCrunch, you get 30 days of free tech support on our unlimited node license. And on top of that, we actually offer free installation assistance as well. So we can schedule a webinar like this with one of our engineers, and they can actually help you get NetCrunch set up as a proof of concept on your own system.